Picture this for a moment. You finally reach that magical point where your retirement savings hit $1 million. You probably feel like you've officially entered the winner's circle. Maybe you imagine yourself shopping for a yacht, upgrading every flight to first class, or even hiring someone whose only job is to tie your shoelaces. But before you start celebrating like you won the lottery, hold on to your wallet because what I'm about to explain is going to deflate that dream faster than a cheap inflatable pool toy at a chaotic family barbecue. The tough truth is that $1 million today doesn't stretch the way it did decades ago. Your grandparents could live like royalty with that amount. But unless you plan to spend your retirement eating instant noodles and watching whatever free channels come with your TV, you may need to adjust those expectations pretty quickly. I help people figure out the confusing and often overwhelming world of personal finance and retirement decisions. If you're trying to understand what your money can realistically do once you stop working, make sure to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you make sense of things. Now, here's something that might genuinely surprise you. That $1 million nest egg you've been fantasizing about is not going to fund the luxurious retirement lifestyle those glossy travel magazines like to show off. In reality, it may barely cover what most people would call a decent, modest, middle-class retirement. So the question we want to answer today is simple but absolutely essential. Exactly how much yearly income can you reasonably take from a $1 million retirement portfolio? Before we dig into actual numbers, let me paint the picture of what most people imagine retirement looks like when they have $1 million saved. They think they can simply withdraw whatever their investments earn each year and live comfortably off their returns. Seems pretty straightforward, right? If your portfolio grows by 12% in a particular year, that's $120,000 you could spend without touching the original million. Sounds great for doing nothing except holding on to some stocks and bonds. Here's where the fantasy collapses. The market never gives steady, guaranteed paychecks. One year, your investments can jump 25% and make you feel like a genius, and the next year, they can drop 10% and leave you wishing you kept your cash in a shoebox. A clear example was 2018, when the market delivered negative returns and shocked investors. If you were counting on those gains to cover your yearly expenses, you would have had a tough time explaining to your spouse why the vacation budget disappeared just because the market had a bad year. Then there's the silent enemy no one likes to think about: inflation. While you're busy celebrating hitting the $1 million milestone, inflation quietly steals your purchasing power like a sneaky pickpocket at a crowded festival. That money becomes weaker every single year, which means the mountain of cash that feels large today could feel like a tiny hill 20 or 30 years from now. Think about it like this. Remember when a candy bar cost 50 cents? Today, that exact candy bar probably costs $2 or even more. That's inflation doing what it always does, and it doesn't magically stop just because you retire. Your $1 million might stay the same number on paper, but the amount of goods it buys will shrink dramatically over time. Some advisors take a very cautious approach and suggest withdrawing only 3% each year. With $1 million, that gives you just $30,000 annually. Unless your idea of retirement is wearing discount clothes and surviving on store-brand cereal, that amount will feel extremely tight. On the opposite side, some financial professionals suggest a 5% withdrawal rate, especially in strong market years. That gives you $50,000 a year, which starts to feel much more like actual livable retirement income rather than bare survival. However, most experts settle somewhere in the middle. This is known as the 4% rule, and understanding why this number matters can be the difference between enjoying your retirement years or spending them working part-time at a grocery store greeting shoppers. This 4% figure isn't something someone invented randomly during a boring meeting. It's based on decades of research and historical market results, measuring how mixed portfolios of stocks and bonds behave through good markets, bad markets, inflation spikes, recessions, and everything in between. You withdraw 4% of your portfolio the first year of retirement, then every following year you increase that amount to keep up with inflation. So with a $1 million portfolio, your first year withdrawal is $40,000. If inflation that year is 3%, then the next year you take about $41,200, and so on, increasing a little each year so your purchasing power stays consistent. The beauty of the 4% rule is that historically it has been designed to last around 30 years with a very low chance of your money running out. pieces you should understand about the 4% rule. First, this rule assumes your portfolio is split 50-50 between stocks and bonds. Some advisors argue that retirees should actually hold more stocks because bonds come with their own risks and lower long-term returns. The balance between stocks and bonds becomes more important as you age. Younger retirees can usually accept more market volatility because they have more time to recover. Older retirees may prefer the stability of bonds even though returns are lower. There is a crucial detail here that catches many people off guard. The 4% withdrawal rate is built for a 30-year retirement. If you plan on retiring in your 40s or 50s, which is becoming more common today, you might need to withdraw even less to avoid running out of money. No one wants to hit their 95th birthday and realize they have outlived their bank account. Lifespan unpredictability adds another complicated layer to retirement planning that many people avoid thinking about. The truth about how long people live today might surprise you more than discovering your teenage kid magically knows how to load the dishwasher correctly. Data shows that the average 65-year-old can expect to live another 18 to 20 years. But here's the shocking part, that's just an average. Half will live longer and many will live much longer. You may plan for a 20-year retirement only to discover you need funds for 35 years. This is why conservative withdrawal rates matter, even if they feel annoying or overly careful. Think of it the same way you think about wearing a seatbelt or keeping jumper cables in your car. You hope you never need that extra protection, but when something happens, you're extremely glad you prepared. Let's get back to that $40,000 you can safely withdraw. For many people, that number feels depressingly small. In today's world, a decent new car often costs roughly that amount, and a single week at a luxury resort can burn through several $1,000s very quickly. However, before you sink into retirement panic, keep in mind that your retirement income doesn't end there. Most people have Social Security benefits to add on top of their savings. Today, the average benefit is around $1,800 per month, which equals roughly $21,600 per year. Your actual benefit will depend on your work history and when you choose to claim. Waiting until full retirement age increases your check, and waiting until age 70 increases it even more. When you add Social Security to your 4% withdrawal, your total yearly income comes to roughly $61,600. A married couple could receive even more, landing closer to $83,000 or higher. Suddenly, that $1,000,000 retirement doesn't look as bleak, but taxes still enter the picture. Retirement taxes depend heavily on what kind of accounts your savings are in. Traditional 401k or IRA withdrawals are taxed like normal income. Roth IRA withdrawals are tax-free. Most retirees have a mix of accounts, which provides flexibility in controlling taxes year to year. Where you live also plays a huge role in how far your income stretches. Some states charge no income tax at all. Others tax everything, including Social Security. The difference between states can change your retirement quality more than you might think. Housing costs, medical expenses, and even the price of a simple cup of coffee vary wildly across the country. In some states, $60,000 a year feels comfortable. In others, it feels barely enough. Healthcare deserves special mention because it tends to rise faster than inflation. Medicare helps, but not completely. Prescription drugs, long-term care, dental work, and unexpected medical needs can all become major expenses. Financial experts often suggest thinking in terms of replacement income rather than dollar amounts. The general belief is that you need around 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your lifestyle. If you earned $75,000 a year while working, you would want $52,000 to $60,000 in retirement income. Under this guideline, $1 million plus Social Security can absolutely support a middle-class lifestyle. If you lived a six-figure lifestyle before retirement, you may need to cut back because the same habits can drain your savings fast. When you retire also matters. Retiring at 62 means your money has to last much longer, while retiring closer to 67 reduces the strain. Many retirees add extra income through rentals, dividends, or part-time work, while others stick to the 4% rule alone. A comfortable retirement is absolutely possible, but it requires strategy, discipline, and clear expectations.